Good evening. We will have the February 4th meeting. The invocation will be led by Commissioner Fershner, Pledge of Allegiance by Mayor, and the roll call will be after that. Please stand.
Please bow your heads. Dear Heavenly Father, bless us this evening as we work together and make decisions for the best of Ocoee and its residents. We thank you for your wisdom and guidance in our thoughtful deliberations. Bless all our city workers, city residents, and especially the men and women in uniform who serve our city and country. We ask this in Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Commissioner Brinson,
Present.
Commissioner Wilson,
Present.
Mayor Johnson.
Here.
Commissioner Fershner.
Here.
And Commissioner Oliver is absent.
All right, we have a proclamation tonight for the Black History Month. I'll read it. If I can, it's mighty little. Whew. All right, whereas Black History Month is celebrated annually in February across the United States. It serves as a celebration of African American achievements and the crucial role they had in U.S. history, as well as time to recognize the severe adversity generations of Black Americans had to overcome to achieve legitimate citizenship in our society. And whereas in 1926, Dr. Carter G. Woodson and the Association for the Study of African American Life and History sponsored a National Negro History Week, choosing the second week of February to coincide with the birthdays of Abraham Lincoln and Frederick Douglass. By the late 1960s, the week-long celebration evolved into Black History Month, calling our attention to the continued need to battle racism and build a society that lives up to its democratic ideals. Whereas the city of Ocoee continues to work towards becoming an exclusive community in which all citizens are respected and recognized for their contributions and potential contributions to our community. And whereas the city of Ocoee established the Human Relations Diversity Board to promote understanding, respect, goodwill, and equality among all citizens and businesses of the city of Ocoee. Since its inception 15 years ago, the HRDB has worked with the city hosting annual events promoting Black History Month, and whereas the city of Ocoee recently celebrated the 14th annual MLK Day parade and celebration, honoring the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And whereas the city's 16th annual Black History Month essay contest encourages our local fifth graders to write their perspective on what a vision of hope means to them. And whereas residents can tune in to historical civil rights segments on Ocoee TV channel 493 to watch programs that highlight significant people and events from African American history. Citizens may also visit the Black History Month Wall of Fame in City Hall to view biographical portraits of notable African Americans. Now therefore be it resolved by the City Commission of the City of Ocoee, does hereby declare the month of February 2020 as Black History Month. The city shall celebrate the vibrant culture and achievements African Americans have contributed to our country this month and throughout the year. We urge our residents to celebrate that heritage and continue to fight for equality and an opportunity for all. In witness whereof, I hereto set my hand and cause the seal of the city of Ocoee, Florida, to be affixed this 4th day of February 2020. Rusty Johnson, Mayor. Is Joy here? Joy still here? All right, well, I was going to give it to Joy, where she can hang it in. We'll have somebody put it out in the hallway here.
Is there anyone from the HRDB board?
Huh?
Is there anyone here?
Nope. Nope. I'll give it to them.
Okay.
Matter of fact, Thursday night. Thursday night. All right. Presentation of a check by Director of Parks and Recreation, Mark Johnson, to Wounded Officers Initiative as the beneficiary of the proceeds from the Chick-fil-A 5K run and Kids Fun Run during the 2019 Founders Day celebration. This is one of those nights when you see them where they on the TV shows and they say, hey, they're giving out all this stuff, so tonight everybody gets free Chick-fil-A for a year. Not.
I was just gonna say,
Don't pass out, Joe.
don't pass out.
Say.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager. Here tonight, Mark Johnson, Parks and Rec Director. We're here tonight to give out the check for our beneficiary for our Founder's Day Chick-fil-A 5K and Fun Run. At this time, I want to pass it over to Beth Otts with Chick-fil-A. She's got a list of all the sponsors and all the partners in the community.
All right.
It is an honor and a privilege to be here tonight to talk about the 5K and to present the check. Actually, two checks. We have one from the 5K and one that we raised at Chick-fil-A as well, to the Wounded Officers Initiative, which I will have Lieutenant Anuzzi come up and talk about the Wounded Officers Initiative and what they do real quick, and then we'll finish up.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, and everyone here tonight. I am here on behalf of the Wounded Officers Initiative. It's a wonderful organization that provides services for police officers who are critically injured in the line of duty. It's something that's very important to all police officers, but really for the entire community to be able to help out these heroes that are not able to return and come back to work when they've been critically injured. I really want to thank Beth from Chick-fil-A. The city of Ocoee has been wonderful in helping us, and also Dr. Fravel's office for all of that they've done to help us raise money, and not just money, but just to help raise awareness for our cause and our organization. So we cannot thank you enough for that. Thank you.
We hope that this year's 5K, our ninth 5K, not only that we raise funds, but we hope we brought awareness for this amazing organization. So please, if you don't know about them, please go to their website, learn more about them, learn more about how we can help. It's just an honor and a privilege for our officers and to serve us, and just want to help in any way we can. But now, we're on to the 10th 5K, coming up in November. You got 9 months to lace up those shoes and get going. But this year, I've been talking the last couple of years about ideas how to make this a bigger and better race for our community, and the commissioners are coming in to help me this year. We're going to have a district competition out of 1, 2, 3, and 4. Who can bring out the most people to run from their districts? They're going to get a beautiful either trophy or plaque that they'll keep for a year when they get the most people out to run. They come out every year and support us, the mayor and the commissioners, and we so appreciate that. And we hope to have that up and running closer to the 5K, and we'll tell you a little bit more about that. We want to thank, first of all, our gold sponsors, Dr. Fravel and Brewer Office. They've done our Kids Fun Run since the first run, and they do amazing things in the community, so we just really want to thank them. We want to thank, of course, Advent Help for Children, True Nature Juice Bar, and Mix on Wheels. And of course, we could not do this without the city of Ocoee and the runners that come out and support. It's an awesome race. We'll put the charity application up the end of February. We pick a nonprofit that has an Ocoee. You need to be in Ocoee zip code. You can apply to be the benefactor for this year. It's the 10th annual Chick-fil-A with the city of Ocoee and Fravel Brewer Kids Fun Run. 10 years. We're going big this year. So we want to see all of you lacing up your shoes and coming out. Again, we're just very happy tonight to be able to give some money to the Wounded Officers Initiative. If you have any questions about the 5K, anything about the charity application, please feel free to reach out to me at Chick-fil-A. Be glad to help you with that process, because again, we want to make this the biggest and the best race we've had. We love Ocoee, and we're proud to live, work, and serve this community.
While they're getting ready to come out and do pictures, I just want to say that on behalf of the city and behalf of us up here at the dais, Chick-fil-A is one of our main sponsors that participates in everything we do in the city. And I know the doctor and his group has been involved in this for a long time, and we truly appreciate that. And I know the citizens do also. So we want to do an extra thank you for your benefits and your time and efforts for this.
And I need to thank, before I forget, I'm only allowed to do what I do in the community because of Sid and Jeannie Boast, my operators at the Ocoee and
Yeah.
Chick-fil-A of Winter Garden stores. And without them, it'd just be me.
Come on down front and get some pictures. Mark?
And we have 2 checks for them tonight. This is from the 5K. And we also have one $661.10 as well going to them tonight.
I apologize to the staff. Our city staff helps out on, they do all the founder. Torrin, wave your hand back there, buddy.
Yeah, Torrin.
Stick your hand up. There you go, Mark.
We give a
That
big
whole
shout
group-
out to the
that
Parks
whole
and
group
Rec.
works with the Founder's Day and on the 5K and all the rest, so we appreciate it very much. Thank you. Cal's running in the race this year, so. All right, staff reports.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 issues this evening. I think you'll remember back in late summer or fall, you authorized us to go ahead and look at changing the name of Central Park to honor previous Mayor Vandergrift. So I sent you all an email with some of the suggested names. This is something that we want to see if we can pin down and have a ribbon cutting or some type of dedication ceremony, which is going along with the Ocoee Babe Ruth baseball grand opening on February 29th. So we suggested some names. I asked you if you had any ideas. I think this is something that we need to settle on, and we can do any advertising materials that we need, and staff can proceed to set this up and have this ready to go on the 29th. So I'd look for any ideas that you all have or any suggestions.
Say that again, Rob, I couldn't hear you, I'm sorry.
We need
Okay, your
to
microphone.
name the park after,
Microphone's on.
They're not
yeah.
on.
They're not on.
You're right.
All right. Are they turning them on?
She just went on.
All right, just a second, folks, we're having some problems.
They're on now. Yep,
Okay.
now they're on.
All right,
all right,
all right, Rob, start over.
just to, what I just said, Mayor, was back in late summer or fall, you all authorized staff to move ahead with changing the name of Central Park to something that would honor previous Mayor Vandergrift. And so I emailed you some of the suggestions from staff. We would like to have the name settled upon, so for February 29th, opening of the Ocoee Babe Ruth baseball season, we could do some type of dedication or renaming ceremony at that time. So we'd look for any of your suggestions. If you can all settle on something and let us know what you'd like the name of the park to be, we can move forward and have that ready for the 29th.
All right, there's a list here of the names, and I was,
It's not an exhaustive list by any means, Mayor.
no, what, I was told that we don't have anything named with the commissioners or mayors, we put their name. I like the Vandergrift, number 2, the Vandergrift Central Park. So, that's up, everybody, anybody got suggestions?
I'd say that or for just Vandergrift Park.
Yeah, yeah. Either 2 or 4 is what I say, so what about Commissioner Wilson?
I like number 2 because it kept
Yeah.
Central Park name, that the park has been named Central Park. It keeps
Yeah,
that identity along
Yeah.
with naming it. And
that was one of the parks he was in up there with the Little League Fields and all that stuff, so. Anybody, Commissioner Brinson?
Right, and I think that Mayor Vandergrift was always at this park for
Yeah.
various functions. Now, I do have this question. Is it a sports complex park?
It's not just a sports complex park. It's got the park up there with all the kids' functions, the dock out on the lake. It's why we call it
Playground,
Central
dock,
Park.
there's other
It's
things in
everything.
addition.
Right, so
Yeah.
it's sports complex. See, I like 2 and 3, so
Two.
I think it's,
All right, we need to,
we need to,
I think it gets too long when you get down to 3. I like to, I like 2. You like,
Yeah, 2's fine.
anybody, Commissioner Wilson?
I like to, it's in your district.
We need a motion, Rob?
I think a consensus, if you can all agree on.
Is it okay,
I
2 with
like
you,
2.
Commissioner?
2 is fine.
All right.
Two's
I think 2's it.
Okay.
2's it. Where's
All
Mark?
right, so we will proceed forth with Vandergrift Central Park.
All right.
Thank you. One other issue I had, Mayor, I believe it was the last meeting when I wasn't here, you authorized $2,500 for the transportation improvement flyer to be stuffed in the city water bills. And the discussion came up of perhaps doing some additional ones we could do a mailing for people that don't receive monthly bills from the city. So we did a little research on that. For the number that we would need, it's about $875, I believe. So if we could get an additional $1,000 from the contingency account, we could make sure we have enough money to do that and get all of these out with the bills and the separate mailing and have this all done within the next couple of weeks.
Do we need a
Do we need a
motion?
motion?
Motion.
We need a motion for the $1,000 from contingency.
I'll be happy to make that motion for $1,000.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson for the $1,000 to finish out the mail-outs. Let's vote. Motion carries forward. I meant to say this earlier. I heard Commissioner Oliver is stranded at the airport somewhere, so I hope him good luck. So,
All right.
so,
Thank you. That was all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
all right. Okay. Commissioners' announcements. Commissioner First.
Not at this time.
Commissioner Wilson.
I have one thing I'd like to say. At the last meeting, I neglected to say something, and I think it might be a good time to say it. Our HRDV board was very instrumental with our Martin Luther King Parade. And at that meeting, I thank Support Services, which they did a great job, but I also want to thank the HRDV board because they were very present and involved in that. So thank them for all that they do to that, and I felt very remiss after the meeting that I didn't say something. So we'd like to thank them. Great job. Thank you. That's it right now. Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Brinson.
None at this time.
All right, I apologize. The young man in the back, is that the ROCT from where? Huh? Ocoee High. Stand up, let everybody see you. You guys are you some of the ones that were at the Martin Luther King? Or was that a different group? You were? Well, thank you very much, but we appreciate you young people being involved with that. And are y'all here just for looking? And I apologize, I should have had you do the pledge. So I'm sorry about that. So thanks for being here. Thank you. I'll tell you a quick story about ROTC, and I know it's in high school, but I have a friend that him and I grew up, he's from Oakland, and his son went to UCF and ROTC. I just got to go up this past year to Pentagon, and he got pinned as a general. He went to UCF, come out there as aeronautical engineer, and out at ROTC. He's 46 years old and got made general in the Air Force. So there's good things happening there, young men. Thank you. All right, I'll read off. I got a couple announcements here. The next meeting of the Community Redevelopment Agency is scheduled for Tuesday, February the 18th at 5 p.m. before the regular City Commission meeting here in City Hall. In celebration of Black History Month, the city's Human Relations Diversity Board is hosting its 16th annual Black History Month essay contest for 5th grade Ocoee students. The theme for this year is A Vision of Hope, and the awards ceremony will be held at the Ocoee Lakeshore Center on Wednesday, February the 26th at 7 p.m. All right. Public comments is the part where it's pertaining to the, on this part is where it pertains to some issue. And there is none, these two that I have, excuse me, are not on this. So they'll be at the end. The two names I have for public comments will be at the end of the meeting. All right. Consent agenda.
Motion. I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson to approve the consent agenda. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. All right. Moving right along. All right. First reading of ordinance, none. All right, we go to the second reading of ordinance, public hearings. This is item number 6, ordinance amending chapter 168 of the City of Ocoee code relating to vehicles and traffic. It will be Lieutenant Scott Nylander will be coming up to the podium.
While he's doing that, let me read the title to the ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending Section 168-2, City of Ocoee Code of Ordinances relating to collection of outstanding parking violations, amending Section 168-4.1, City of Ocoee Code of Ordinances relating to parking of commercial vehicles on public property, amending Section 168-5.1, City of Ocoee Code of Ordinances relating to immobilization of vehicles bearing outstanding parking citations, and providing for severability, providing for codification, and providing an effective date. And I believe we'll also do the staff report on the red light.
Yes.
Let me go ahead and read that ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending Article 3, Chapter 168, City of Ocoee Code of Ordinances relating to collection of unpaid red light violation notices or uniform traffic citations, creating Section 168-14, City of Ocoee Code of Ordinances, authorizing the clerk to notify the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles of persons who were mailed and did not pay or failed to appear at a hearing relating to a notice of violations of Article 3, Chapter 168, red light violations notice, authorizing the clerk of the court to notify the Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles of persons who were mailed and did not pay, failed to appear at a hearing, or failed to attend a driver improvement school relating to a uniform traffic citation relating to Article 3, Chapter 168, red light violations, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing an effective date.
And before we go further, I apologize. Would the youth group stand up, please? Our youth council. Are they here too?
There's one that just walked out.
Have them come up front. I apologize. This is our new youth council that are, someday might be sitting up here.
We just voted for two new
Yeah,
members.
we voted for two new ones, so I'm going to introduce.
So Mayor, our two newest is Chelsea and Gabriel, those are our new two. And the three gentlemen that you acknowledged earlier, they're going to be on the next agenda.
Great,
So they're just
great.
a little behind, but we.
Welcome aboard. They all going to Tallahassee?
So the five, unfortunately, I didn't get their applications in
Okay.
time, but the five young ladies will be going to Tallahassee.
All right,
next week.
thank you.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing y'all's results from up in Tallahassee. All right, thank you, thank you.
See you there.
All right, all right. You need to say anything? You just standing there for good looks.
Here, ready to answer questions.
Huh?
I'm just
Okay.
here, ready to answer the questions.
All right.
So, good evening to the mayor, city manager, elected
All right, I'm
officials.
open to the public, see if anybody in the public have any comments?
Yes, I do.
Oh, okey-doke, you got your form?
Yes, I do.
Okay,
Thank you, Mayor.
yes, ma'am. All right, this is Victoria Laney, she lives in Ocoee. All right.
I appreciate Chief Brown and all the officers of the Ocoee Police Department, and I actually served on the Violations Hearing Board since its beginning to the time that the legislature took away our ability to regulate traffic light violations, and then we had a magistrate take over. But I want to make some comments based on my years of service on that board. One, I want us to educate people ahead of time, and that's more important than ever with increasing the penalties for it. And so, maybe they're doing it better now, but I know people would come and they just didn't know. One of the things that they often didn't know was that they shouldn't be parking unless it was in the direction of traffic. So they would be parking on the opposite direction, and that would sometimes lead to a citation. If we could, maybe when people apply for water service, when they first move into the city, let them know some of our parking rules and standards. That way they would know ahead of time. It could be part of the packet that we give them when they apply. Another thing is that before placing parking signs, I wish we would let people know so that they could comment on the prospect of having no parking signs placed in front of their house. And this is both personal from a long time ago, but I've seen it more recently too. When I was taking care of my mother, we came home one day and there were no parking signs in front of our house. We had no idea they were going to be placed there. It was a total surprise. And it was a big burden because she had a handicapped vehicle and I had to get her out in the wheelchair. We already had 2 cars. We couldn't allow other people into the driveway. We lost her physical therapist who said, I can't park there. I'm not allowed to park there, and I'm not going to park around the corner and drag my equipment around to your house. It impeded the ability of her handicapped friends to visit. It was a difficult situation. It was eventually removed, and that was a big help. But I know even now there's young mothers, and if they can't park in front of the house and unload their children and all the baby equipment and things, that's hardship. So before we place no parking signs, given an increased penalty for it, I wish we would allow people to comment and request accommodations for familial status or handicaps and have that go into consideration. The whatever public safety the no parking signs might offer versus the difficulties it might cause a particular citizen. The last thing, and I know I'm running out of time, is that when I was on the hearing board, we had truck drivers come and they said, please, can't you show mercy to me? I only had 6 hours to be with my family. It was my daughter's graduation. If I had tried to find some parking outside of the city, there's no way I could have attended. And I know at the time I actually came and I suggested that we use some city property somewhere that wasn't being used for something else and designate it as a truck parking lot. And, for city residents, if we needed to charge them a fee or a subscription or something, fine, but make it possible for them to come and spend as much time as possible with their families between their runs on the truck. And that actually increases public safety because the Department of Transportation requires that they have a certain amount of rest period, but if they spend an hour of that rest period getting home from wherever they park the truck, that actually, is more difficult for them. So I don't know what you can do. I just appreciate your time and at least consider some of these things because as long as you're looking at amending the ordinance and raising the stakes for violations of that ordinance, let's look at also making it kinder to some of the people who may be affected. Thanks again for your time and your service to our city.
Thank you very much. Anybody else in the public? All right, I'm going to bring it back to the board up here. Anybody having comments? I will make a couple comments. I will tell you that we have problems with trucks. Trucks are parking everywhere around the city in places where in front of people's houses, on main streets, just like down by the post office. They park all the time. They use that same excuse. I'm only here for an hour, but every time you go there, they're parked there. You go up on the north side of town, on the north side of Lakewood, which is not even in our city, but it's in our city, and there's 6 to 7 semi-trucks parked there all the time on the Clear Corner Road. And now they got the roofing guys are parking there with their tanks and putting their truck there in their trailers. So there has got to be some kind of way to put a stop to this. They can come and make special exceptions if somebody's handicapped or something like that to get to their house. But there has got to be some kind of rule to fix this where these people are parking semi-trucks in neighborhoods. Listen, if you work for a company, they got to have somewhere for you to park that truck. It's like everybody else. We have to drive to work and back from work. We don't get to bring our, and also parking 4 or 5 vehicles in a front yard. That is something else we got to address. So I know it's not something all people want to hear, but it's part of what the regulations are and what they got to enforce. Semis are getting terrible around here, so we have got, and also up in your district, and they have now filled up that road on Clear Corner, and they go down and park on that little side hill where you get into the stop sign, and they're tearing the sides of the road up. So no, there has got to be some kind of rules and regulations to address this issue. Sorry about that. So anybody else?
Yeah. I'm going to ditto your comments, Mr. Mayor. Unfortunately, this is an issue that needs to be addressed. And for way too long, I think, there's been citations being issued, parking and otherwise, and folks are not paying it. And so I think it got to the point where they realized that, you know what, I'm going to continue to park here because I didn't pay my last ones and they still haven't done anything to me. And it's become problematic. And so as this city grows and more people move to the city and more people are driving commercial vehicles, where are they going to park these commercial vehicles? I suspect they're going to park them on top of the vehicles that's already being parked.
Yeah.
And they're going to make these side streets their de facto parking lots. It's our responsibility to make sure that doesn't happen, because we must make sure not only does these folks have good places to park their vehicles, but also the citizens who are not parking their vehicles there don't want to see these things, these big trucks and monster trucks and commercial vehicles is parked all around, not only in cul-de-sacs and in commercial parking lots, but also on their roads. I've seen tractors from tractor trailers. I've seen tractors literally parked in front of a house.
Yep.
That's problematic. And it's problematic because when you look at public safety, our first responders need to get down those roads. And it's hard for them to get down the roads already with regular cars parked there, and yet we're going to have a large vehicle parked there. I understand, your point, Mrs. Laney. It is a problem. We should show some type of consideration for special situations, but those folks should come to the city and maybe we can work that out. However, as a general rule, we must make sure that parking makes sense to the Ocoee as a whole. And if they're driving a big truck, we need big trucks to be driven. But we got to make sure that we do our due diligence to make sure our first responders can get to where they need to go in a timely manner, but also that our residents are not coming out of their homes trying to navigate around these big vehicles. And it's tough,
Yes.
but it's a call that needs to be made, and that's our job, is to make that call.
All right, I've closed the public hearing part of it, so it's up.
No,
All right.
I'm going to agree with both of you, because I've had complaints from residents in my neighborhoods that they don't want the trucks in their neighborhoods. It's one thing having cars parked there, but the difference is cars when they're trucks. The other thing is, I think we're talking about the red light. Is that a separate public hearing for the red light camera?
I haven't done that one yet.
Are we doing it separate?
Yeah.
Okay. I've had plenty of complaints, and I realize parking the opposite way. I'm hoping that that's in the very original book when we were 16 years old and we learned to drive, that you need to obey the signs and the directions. Not saying I haven't parked against the traffic in my neighborhood the wrong way a few times, but realizing I should not. And I think it is an education, but I hope I would hope that's in that book when we were 16 years old, that we learned how to drive. And we should remember what was in that book. Maybe we need to have a refresher and go get the book. So I think I have to say, but I do intend to agree.
Debatable. I would say that I don't like to hear people say it to me, and I don't like to say it, but it's like being like Winter Garden. But if you ride to Winter Garden, you won't see that. I mean, you go through town, ride around through town, ride down the streets, you don't see semi-trucks parked there. I mean, let's be the one too that doesn't have them there. So we got to figure out how this thing can be enforced. I know the deputy chief hears from me all the time, because I'm calling her about that one guy that talking about, somebody says, oh, I'm just here for a couple hours. Well, every day he's there for a couple hours. It ain't just one day. So, all right, we need a motion.
I'll make a motion
Right.
to approve the ordinance amending Chapter 168.
All right, do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Motion made by Commissioner Forster on item A, seconded by Commissioner Brinson. No more comments, let's vote. Motion carried with 4. All right, now we're going to do item B. I'm going to open the public hearing for item B. Item B is the second reading of ordinance amending Article 3 by creating Section 168.14, collection of unpaid red light violation notices or uniform traffic citations. You've read all the stuff, right?
Yep.
All right, I'm going to open it to the public. Anybody in the public have any comments on that one? Not, and close it, bring it back to the dais. Anybody up here have any comments? All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the ordinance amending Article 3.
All right, item B. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. No more comments? Let's vote. Motion carries 4-0. All right, thank you very much, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
Did
Have a good
great
night.
job.
Good talk.
Number 7, second reading of ordinance amending Article 5, Section 5-4 and Section 5-4-1 of the Land Development Code, LDC, for residential fencing. I also have a person here to talk on the fence, so when I get through, I'll open it up to the public. We can talk. All right, Mike.
Yeah, let me go ahead and read the title of this ordinance. This is an ordinance of the City of Ocoee, Florida, amending Section 5-4 of the City of Ocoee Land Development Code relating to open space requirements of zoning districts, amending Section 5-4.1 of the City of Ocoee Land Development Code relating to fencing, providing for severability, providing for codification, providing for an effective date.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike Rumor, Development Services Director. This is an item, this is more of a code cleanup. We had fencing requirements in several places in our land development code, one of them being under an open space section. And being in a booming economy, we are getting inundated with fence permits, and I think some of the old staff of the fence companies have changed over, so where the old ones kind of knew where to find it, we're running into a lot of issues with people not finding all the fence requirements. So we're simply creating a new spot in the land development code called fences. Really a good idea, I thought. So all the fence criteria will be located in one spot. So presently, this ordinance just takes that verbiage out of the other text under open space and provides it all in one easy-to-find location. Separately, we are looking at some other fence issues as some of these newer subdivisions come in with smaller lots and shorter setbacks. So I anticipate maybe sometime later this year bringing some revised language or new language, but for right now, we're just creating a fence spot in our land development code. I will also be bringing a sign ordinance, kind of cleaning up the sign code and putting it all in one spot as well. Just some cleanup we're doing. So some housekeeping.
That it?
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm going to ask Ms. Crisp. I want to ask you a question. Is yours pertaining to this or pertaining to a permit problem?
Well, I have the permit, and I have looked up the ordinance, and I live on a corner lot, and not on an intersection.
Okay, I'm saying it's not dealing with this LDC. Okay, I'll get you as soon as we get. Okay, sorry. All right. I'm going to open this to the public. Anybody in the public have any comments on this LDC code? All right, now I'm going to close it and bring it back up. Anybody on the agenda, on the dais, have any? I need a motion.
Oh.
What?
Did you read the title?
Did you read the title?
Oh.
He's ready. He's
make
fast. All right, do I hear a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Motion made by Commissioner Wilson. Do I hear a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Commissioner Brinson. Any more comments? If not, let's vote. Motion carries 4 votes. All right. Thank you, Mike. All right. Now I got two. Start with Mr. Cross. He was here first. Mr. Cross, come up to the podium there and give us your name.
Hello. I would like to bring forth the City Council a matter of what I believe to be a public nuisance. I believe an ordinance to stop the behavior I'm about to describe would bring about positive change in communities across our nation. However, change of this form requires homegrown action, and so the current venue of such change are local governments, such as our very own council chamber that we're here today. Thrust with physical force on Ocoee residents are unsolicited advertisements that make these a public nuisance onto the curtilage of private properties, streets, and sidewalks. These items, disguised as news, create a forced maintenance on their unwilling recipients to clean up their front yards and driveways, and what I believe a vast majority perceive as litter. This behavior by the distribution companies is done for economic gain to the detriment of public in many ways. It creates vast amounts of waste that ends up in our city landfills. It proposes a security risk as signals to criminals about potential of unoccupied residents. It is a health risk that is delivered regardless of weather condition. They end up as litter across our streets, sidewalks, and drainage ways. It is a health hazard. This litter is not delivered in a manner that guarantees its state of reception. I have brought with me an example of this, picked from my own driveway in the state that I received it, that it was thrust upon me. I am highly confident that anyone present would find this is non-valuable in its state and not an effective means to disseminate information for public interest. And that the medical professional would not want to touch this if there was no clear benefit in doing so. It is a security risk. In a thought experiment, if you were to place yourself in a criminal mindset where you wanted to rob a house, when picking out your target, you want to find an easy mark. The clear display of a potential target is one where these are laid out unmaintained in the driveway. This unmaintained trash in a residential driveway is a clear indication that this house might be worth further casing. Their intention with this delivery are not in public interest, but for economic gain. I am also not asking for the cease of newspaper, but to put in place means where news thrust upon private property must be an opt-in situation. I believe this can be done within reasonable means rather than blanket distribution to the masses. These paper are a little more than a means to sell advertisements in the guise of news. They manipulate our freedoms of press as a facade to allow them to force us to maintain their litter. To highlight this situation, I wish to indulge in a few straw man arguments, but bear with me. One might say this is done across the nation, so it's common practice. However, long-held socially common practices do not make them ethical. One might say that its intent is to inform the public. This is not the driving intent. It's economic gain. You would, time's up.
We got the message of it. I mean, all right, we're gonna let the commissioners make any comments they want to make. I will say that I don't know what the law says. I'd have to ask, get a legal description. I do know that's the newspaper he's got, and I don't know how y'all still deliver them? Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. If you don't want that dropped at your house, I would call them and tell them, take you off the list.
May I speak?
That's the advertising.
That is a newspaper too. It's the West Orange.
What's in there?
It's a completely different thing.
Okay.
No,
so
not
may I
the
speak?
Sentinel thing there.
Is that got rocks in it?
No.
Okay.
Okay, so
All right.
actually, this is just an...
Now it's their turn. Okay? Anybody up here want to talk?
Yeah, okay, sorry, you're first. I understand, and I do understand the aspect of people throwing them out, and they build up in a neighborhood which could be look to be a target of a house. The unfortunate thing, I don't know what the answer would be, but I just wish that people who lived in those houses would collect them, because unfortunately, we see 10 or 15 of them out there, and they drive in and out the driveway. I understand the plight you have, I do. I don't know what laws are regarding distributing items and throwing them in yards, driveways, but I understand.
I think one of the challenges is, as you know, it's anytime you put a limitation on freedom of the press or free speech, it's very, very difficult to regulate that. Even commercial speech, even those that are doing it for a profit, it's very difficult to impose regulations, especially on private property where these are generally cast into someone's driveway.
I will say that we can look it up and see if there's any way to address the issue of that. I would tell you that even at my house, when I am not home, my neighbor takes mine, picks all mine up, if it's newspapers or whatever, and puts it inside my garage or puts it inside his. So I don't leave them out, because if I'm gone, I don't want to know I'm gone. So anybody else, you got any comments?
No, I received the Spanish Sentinel for years, thrown in my driveway, and I didn't have much use for it, being that I didn't speak Spanish. But I personally don't like all the unsolicited advertisement that you get in the mail. Such a waste of money in my eyes, but if there's a way of stopping it, please let me know, because I'd like to look into that too.
All right, so what we'll do is, Mr. Cross, we'll see if this city manager can have our staff look in to see what there is anyway to work towards that process. We appreciate you bringing that. I know you said you're a new resident, right?
Yes.
Glad to have you here.
I'll be happy to talk to you later.
Yeah, So I think Commissioner Wilson's your commissioner too. so-
Yes, I was gonna say,
Yep.
I'll
So
be happy to talk to you.
we'll have him address it, and then if we, we've got your name and, phone number on this, and we'll see what we can find out, then they can get back a hold of it. All righty?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Mr. Crisp?
while you're coming up, I'm just gonna say, I know you're a new resident, but please remember that, and that's general, please call your commissioners if you have any issues, we all have phones that are available, so sometimes don't let them wait and fester. You know,
He
'cause-
did send an email out.
Okay, I didn't see it, but thank you.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay,
Yeah.
but we always like you to comment, connect with us also. Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I just have a question in regards to, I did have a fence put up without a permit. I'm bad, I did get my permit and pay the penalty, but they won't approve it. And I did look up the ordinance, and I would be more than glad to pay your $250 for a variance, but I don't want to give you $250 if you're not going to give me a variance.
Right.
I live on a corner lot, but it is not an intersection. It is a curve. I live in the Forest Lake subdivisions, which you know is a Popka.
Where?
The Forest
Oh, you mean out on, AD Mims Road?
Lake Estates.
Oh,
Forest
Estates.
Lake.
Oh, yeah, it
But
is.
you know my
Oh,
address is
trying to change-
Apopka.
We're trying to change
I
that.
know.
But
But
you're
I
a
really
Ocoee.
live in Ocoee.
You're a Ocoee.
And I'm not sure who my commissioner is. You are, okay.
That would be me.
Okay, and I don't interfere with anybody's vision when they go around the bend. I'm in the back of the subdivision, and my neighbor that lives behind me has no issue with my fence that's been there for 2 years. And you may know him, his name is Lou Fords. He's on the planning and boarding, yeah. He has no problem with my fence, so I just want to know, is there a possibility that I can get a variance?
Mike?
That subdivision we have a variance that'll be coming forward. It's a similar situation where it's on a corner lot, but you don't have, the houses are not set up rear to rear. Her rear yard is on the side yard of the house behind them. So that situation sets up a situation where the person has, if the fence is allowed to be up to a minimum setback of, say, 15 feet, in the front of their house, they don't enjoy the same view as every other house, because now they're going to have a fence sticking out 15, 20 feet in their front yard. It's also can be somewhat of a safety issue. A driveway's 20 feet. If a fence takes up 15 of that 20, when you back out, you can't see the sidewalk. That's why the code is there. I happened to drive by this one the other day. She does have a slight little difference. It's not a straight road. There's a little curve in the road, and the lot kind of curves. It still does stick out past the resident's front yard. In any inline lot, the fences can come up to the house. In this situation, that fence sticks out in front. It would be a variance. I could not bind this commission. That's not in a public hearing on whether that variance would be granted or not. It's on a case-by-case situation. We certainly try to help an applicant make the best case they can. Sometimes we still do not recommend approval. This will be the third fence issue in that subdivision. We do have one that's going to planning and zoning next week, similar situation.
So,
Would it not be up to the gentleman that lives behind me to be the
who lives
complaint?
behind you? Mr.
Lou
Ford?
Ford,
Mr.
yes.
Forges?
That's one of the considerations is the neighbors, and I think that
He would be the only one that would, he's
Can
my
you-
only neighbor.
Can you get him to sign a affidavit saying
I would probably have no problem with that because my son spoke to him and he did not
Yeah.
have a problem.
I would say I'd get that and then go to the variance board and try it. If it's all possible, I mean, if the neighbor don't care, I know where you're at. I haven't
mean,
done
I
that. I hit a
understand
wild
that,
ball
right.
over that way.
Yeah.
If I need extra balls, hold on to them.
Well, we go ball hunting sometimes, we get them.
So I think, Mike, let her get I'd get a letter affidavit from your neighbor.
And that's one of the issues we're looking at, because this is not a situation where they're wanting a fence, it's already there. has code been involved?
Yes, I
Okay.
did get a citation.
We can tell code we're working with the applicant, and that's one of the items that we're looking at. City manager's offered some good suggestions in the past on some similar situations. So we're looking at, we got to look at safety. We got to, and obviously, I'm looking at not allowing lots that are rear to side, just have them rear to rear, and you don't have that issue going forward. But there, her case is a little bit, there is a little bit of a tweak that's not normally there, but
Okay.
let me look at that. Let's take some
Okay.
comment from our planning and zoning commission for the one we have next week.
Okay,
And kind of go from there, so.
all righty.
Mention that we thought maybe you could look at it with the affidavit from the neighbor.
Yeah, one of the items I was looking at is something like that, where if the neighbor signs on,
Right.
it's kind of like an under development agreement where at such time as that house sells, you got to go back through the process and get another agreement. But if not, it's got to be moved type of.
All right.
There's a lot of options.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for coming down and waiting. All
It's
right.
just a mere byproduct when we have these smaller lots and smaller setbacks that our traditional code doesn't take into account, so.
All right. All right. Thanks, Mike. Any more staff action?
No, sir.
All right. Comments from citizens. I got that done. Comments from commissioners. Commissioner Brinson.
Yes, I got a few comments. First off, I see the chief is still here. I had the pleasure and the honor of attending the police awards banquet ceremony on Friday evening. And I wanted to make sure that I brought this to the attention of everyone under the sound of my voice, that I had a wonderful time. I think it was well presented. It was well put together. I believe that the sworn officers as well as the professional staff really enjoyed that presentation that was provided over at High Point Church. I know that because I'm getting emails and phone calls telling them how much they appreciated me attending there. But I'm here to say that, Chief, good job. To you and your sworn officers, you did a fine job. I do believe that we should have that presentation in Ocoee Spaces next time around. I think we have a Lakeshore Center. Don't we have? Yeah, I think we have a Lakeshore Center. I think it would be ideal for such an event. But it was wonderful, and I had to bring that up because I had a wonderful, wonderful time. Great time had by all. Chief is coming up. He's going to say something. Uh-oh.
Yes. I just want to thank you all for coming, and I understand the two that could not make it that night. You had prior engagements, but the officers and employees we have that were recognized are so deserving for what they do, and we wanted to be able to put on a good presentation for them because they deserve it. They do a fantastic job all the time. They're out there in the neighborhoods. They're protecting my neighborhood. I live in the city, so thanks for coming and thanks for recognizing them.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I was out of country, but they did let me come out and do a little film thing to put it on, because I would not miss it otherwise.
And they showed it, Mayor, and we were impressed.
Good. All right.
One other thing, Mayor. I got a couple of calls today. I guess it was because of the red light cameras. A couple of residents are concerned with the placement of the cameras and the accuracy of our red light cameras. I assured them that we were going to be taking a look at that, the red light cameras and all that that goes into the red light cameras. Some of the folks were a little concerned that it seemed like there's not many south of Colonial, that most of them are on the north side of Colonial. And they would ask some questions as to why was that.
Is that turning on the red light on McGuire and Colonial?
No, just red light cameras in general.
South side, McGuire.
So we, the red light cameras, the only other red lights we have are on McGuire south of 50. We have very little violations down there. I mean, they were all violation driven and crash driven, so the placement was all done by that. So
Okay.
Was there a specific complaint, by the way? That's why.
No, just in general.
Okay.
The two people who reached out to me, all was just general
Okay.
issues.
We monitor them, we check them closely, all the accuracy is then backed up by human input to make sure that it is an actual violation. And then if there are any complaints, we immediately can take care of any issues, so.
Yeah, I think that was the other part is, they were a little upset with getting a violation by a camera versus an actual officer seeing them or witnessing them. That's all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Commissioner Wilson?
Yes, this is just a comment for my fellow commissioners, and if there's any other boards that have to have ethics training, the Tri-County League of Cities will be offering ethics training on May 21st in Winter Park. So, and again, I don't know if the legislature has imposed any other boards that have to have ethics training
Is it
besides
not-
us.
Is it not good through the convention?
Yeah, it is, but not everyone wants to go
Oh, yeah,
to
okay, yeah.
the convention. And I will tell you, last year, I can't make this one, but last year,
Will you leave that with
Yeah.
Sherry where she can make sure we all?
everyone knows, because the person who did it last year is doing it again this year, and usually when you sit after 4 hours, you want to get going, and I have to tell you that no one got up and moved. I mean, it was excellent, so we'd like to.
So that's in Winter Park?
That's a good one. It's in Winter Park on May 21st, so you'll be getting something also from Tri-County. Also, I just had a question. When we put applications on our agenda, I'm wondering if we can go ahead and redact the address just for when it's on our agenda and birth dates that are put on there. Now that we're dealing with, should I say youth? Is it possible before we go on the agenda that we can remove those? Just if someone I mean,
It's public information. We do have a statement on the application that also notifies the applicant, in this case, the parent, that this is
That's what we
public
talked about when we
information.
signed it up.
Yeah, I know, I just didn't, I just had, should I say, I didn't like it. Personally, that's just
Yeah.
me.
I could just not include the application, and, we know what the resolution states as far as residency requirements. We do check that ourselves. The OIC coordinator, Dorcas, does go through a thorough check herself, so I can just not include the application, with the staff report and just put the recommendation. Of course, the commission at any point can contact me to see it if they would like to, if that's an option.
I just don't, I want to do what we're supposed to do legally.
I
it just
did
kind of
ask that
concerned me.
question when we first created the board, because my concerns, we could not find any exemptions in the statute when it comes to minors, and specifically when they're volunteering, and because the parent is signing the form as well. But like I said, it's just the staff report that needs to be presented. If there's any questions with regards to what's on the staff report, you can reach out to me at any point, just like the public can if they want to make a request.
I don't know if anyone else has any concern regarding that. That's just something reading it, had my concern.
I don't know if the age makes a difference. All of them's got to be like 16, so I don't know what the age thing shows on that, We look at that part of it, But that's what we talked about when we started this.
Just a thought that, I'm not the only person up here speaking, so, it's just a concern I had.
Okay. All right, any more?
I don't think so. No, that was it. Thank you.
All right, Commissioner first.
The timing of traffic lights in the city, that's Orange County's responsibility? Local streets.
And for their streets, Commissioner, they take care of that. For the city streets, we have that contracted out to our contractor.
Okay, who should I contact? The Public Works Director?
Yes.
And talk to him about
Yeah,
it?
either way, if it's an issue on a county road, Public Works has the contacts with the county to take care of
Okay,
that.
thank you.
Yeah,
I'll
we
do
just
that.
have to contact them.
Yeah, I get
That it?
Yep, that's it.
All right, just comment on the red light camera deal. I go to McGuire to go to the gym pretty much every other day, and I don't like the red light cameras too much myself, but the problem is, I watch them. They get to that red light camera, they don't stop. And when they're making that arrow, when that arrow's done, they keep on going. And I think one of the reasons was we were having some backed up on traffic because at McGuire and 50, we had the road closed at Bluford. So there were so many people there, they were all upset. But so when I come home, I come from the south side and I watch them. They come right up beside me and just keep right on rolling. It's not a good, I often wonder why we do the ride on red light cameras. I'd like to do away with the ride on red light cameras myself, but that's something else. I can see going across the main highway on 50 where they're fine doing 70 mile an hour and running that red light. But on the red light camera, I think there ought to be a little difference there, but we'd have to somehow figure that out. It was, I will say that I'm sorry I missed the police thing. I was out of country. They let me film, and I got to stand between them two tall preachers. I looked like a midget. Those guys are 7 foot tall, and it was amazing. But I heard it was great. Appreciate it, and thanks to staff for letting me make the video and get to say at least appreciated what they were doing. When's your spring fling? You didn't say.
Oh, sorry, I didn't. I should be saying that every week now, every meeting. We are going to have our spring fling on March 28th from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. We are looking for, at this point, potential vendors, knowing they can't sell anything, but we're trying to educate the community. So we're always looking for vendors who might like to come out and educate our community. And that's from 10 to 2. We also have the Shred event, which is in conjunction with the Ocoee Police Department. It's called Shred to Protect, and that's going to be on March 14th from 9 a.m. to 12 noon, which will be held at the Ocoee Police Department. And it's working with 3 clubs within Ocoee, the Ocoee Rotary Club, the Ocoee Women's Club, and the Ocoee Lions Club. And again, protecting identity. So if you have boxes to shred, the first box is complimentary. After that, we are asking for a donation of $5 per box. And so, again, come out, bring your material that you don't want to have around your house to have anyone catch your social security numbers or your birth dates or any of that information, and shred it. So please, March 14th is the shred event, and March 28th is the spring fling. And the spring fling is held right here in Bilbreeze Park, right behind us, and it's totally free. It's a fun event, so come on out and enjoy it.
All right, thank you. I'm going to bring up something. I got an email, and I didn't know if anybody else was going to bring it up tonight, but I got an email, and I don't know if each of you got it, but it was about, is anybody here from the Peace Initiative group, or did they might have been here? I know that League of Voters is one of the names, or Women's Voters is one of the things on that email I got that's backing the Peace Initiative for the vote deal. Aren't you guys, I know, your group is names on that as one of the sponsors, so, yeah. It's for voting initiative thing, and they were going to use our Lakeshore Center, so they asked to use it. All I'm saying is, if the staff says it's okay, they're asking for the waiving the fees of the Lakeshore Center, Commissioner. And it's for Wednesday, May the 13th. So if it's on, like City Manager and I were talking, if it's on a non-time that we don't have anybody using or something like that, maybe we can make an allowance. It's for a benefit of citizens for voting and signing up and information period, so.
Yeah, I'm trying to find the email.
And the lady that runs that is the lady from Valencia. I think so, yeah. But it's tied into, it's the Peace Initiative. Let's see if I can find it. I'm sorry. It got sent to me. I know it's the Peace Initiative, and they asked for using it on May the 13th. So we can maybe put it off till the next meeting and look it up. I don't know, Sherry might have got it, but.
Yeah, we could provide that to you and have.
But if it's on, just to bring it up, what they want to do is
meeting.
get waive the fee and use the Lakeshore Center on May the 13th for that issue. There's like 3 different groups besides the Peace Initiative. I know the Women League of Voters is one of them. And I asked if it was a partisan, it's a nonpartisan deal, so that won't be a problem. So if it's consensus with everybody.
I wish I could find it.
It's somewhere. I'll make sure Sherry has it tomorrow. So I apologize. I just happened to think of that again. I was talking to Rob about it. So it's on May the 13th, which is a Wednesday. So is everybody, we got time to come back in 2 weeks to think about it, but I'll find the information to make sure we've got it on the dice.
Did you want us, do they need to know now?
Well, they probably do, but I mean, it's something we usually don't let it happen, but it's a public purpose, so I don't have a problem with it.
Heather Bryson.
Huh?
Heather Bryson is
Is that who it is?
Yes.
Who?
Heather?
Heather Bryson.
Yeah, but it's with the Peace Initiative, right?
Right by the email.
It is with the, yes, Peace
Yeah.
and Justice Institute,
Yeah,
and that's for May
yeah.
May
Fletcher's
13th.
a lady, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
May 13th.
So is it okay consensus, or do we need to vote on it, Rob?
Consensus would be fine.
We just have to make sure they know, and I was also told that we did this to somebody one time and they didn't clean it up, so they have to know
Yeah.
that part of the deal for waiving the fee that they clean it up.
Yes, sir.
So can somebody notify the Parks Department?
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
If it's a consensus that y'all want to let them have that for
That's
that
okay with you
particular
guys?
amount of time.
Yeah, yes.
Okay.
Fine with me.
All right,
All right,
great.
well, all right. And is Steve Krug back in the back, or he gone?
I don't think he's here tonight.
All right, I need somebody to make sure they let him know. I got a call from a citizen before I come in here tonight, Miss Jackson, who lives on Apricot. They haven't been mowing Ocoee Hills Road, what do you call it?
Is it where we just put the drain? Is it the
I
area?
don't know,
that
but she said
is
they're
it-
not mowing it as high.
There's an area right there on Apricot, on the corner of
That's
Apricot and
where-
Ocoee
yeah.
Hills Road, that I believe we approved about a month ago to have the drainage done. Am I correct?
And then the other-
There was a drainage pipe that we approved the money for. Do you remember that?
I remember that. I don't remember the
that.
specific
She just said
project. I could check with him.
Ocoee
If it's
Hills Road.
Ocoee Hills and
Okay, no, I
Apricot.
just-
The other is the trees need trimming because they're interfering with Duke. And she thought Duke, I said, no, you can call us and we'll call Duke.
Yeah.
So they need to
Okay.
We
look
can
into
do
the
that
tree
too.
trimming
Okay.
too.
On which road, Mayor?
Huh?
On which road do the trees need trimmed?
Apricot and.
Okay.
Ocoee Hills
Ocoee
Road,
Hills.
Apricot, because I know that right there in that corner we had some sinking and they were putting a drain pipe in and we approved it.
Yeah, typically we would call the power company if if that's something they do.
Yeah.
We don't want to get involved with tree limbs and power
No,
lines and
no.
that type of thing.
But I
so-
told her that we'd call for them.
Yeah.
It's, okay. Anybody else have any comments? Meeting adjourned.
Rob, can I grab you for a second? If you don't mind. Thank you, I got it. Thank you. Yes. Oh, don't grab it? It would be a violation of Charlie sitting back there.